I am King Nikki, and this is Night of Horror. I like to talk horror, but sometimes I do talk other genres and TV shows. Today, I am talking the new horror movie, Alien Romulus. Knights, remember to support the channel or die.
Please, just go. Just please go. Please go. No! No! Get away! Get away from me, please!
If you want to live, I suggest you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below, unless you just like pain and suffering, which I do understand. Alien Romulus is the new entry in the iconic and arguably inconsistent Alien franchise with Fede Alvarez, who has become one of my favorite recent horror directors at the helm. I was extremely excited for this movie, and I gotta say, the finished product did not disappoint. Though I wasn't completely enamored with every aspect, Alien Romulus takes place after the first Alien movie, but before Aliens, the sequel. We follow the youngest group so far in the franchise who decide to scavenge a derelict space station. We have always had fully grown adult characters, unless you want to count AVP Requiem. I'm not understanding the decision to use teeny bopper characters. Like, I don't know. I just really wasn't here for that. I wanted some age on my alien characters, but that's not a make or break. That's just my nitpicky thing with the movie. I gotta say, I am not a fan though. There were a few standouts, but overall, Romulus felt like typical young slasher characters just there to die. I feel like the Alien franchise has pretty memorable side characters: Hicks, Bishop, Hudson, Vasquez, and even Alien 3 and Resurrection. As much as people trash those movies, they had memorable and distinct characters. I cannot recall a single side character name in this movie. I feel like they're all pretty just unremarkable and forgettable side characters. Like, they're fine, they serve their purpose, you know, in the story, but just not, you know, not distinct characters that I would like. And I feel like that really hurts the overall story, in my opinion. A standout side character for me though was the pregnant girl. I think her name was Kay. I thought Kay was going to end up being our final girl. I'll be honest, like, that was what I called, simply because I thought we were going back to basics with Fede Alvarez, who has been at the helm of a franchise resurgence before. One thing I love about Alien is the fact that Sigourney Weaver wasn't the blatant main character when that movie starts and as we're going along in the story. We had no idea who would end up the last man standing. So I thought Alien Romulus was going to kind of go back to those basics, subvert expectations. Rain obviously comes off as the main character, the obvious final girl. So I thought they were going to kill her off and end up with the pregnant girl at the helm, or end up with someone else at the helm. That's the direction I thought we were going to go in. Obviously, when we find out Kay is pregnant, we know something will come of that. But I did think they were going to subvert expectations and kill off Rain. But I absolutely loved Kay. She went through it. You hear me? The whole movie, Lord baby, went through it. You know how you see a certain movie and you feel like a character deserves their survival? I was just like, baby was down bad the whole movie. Like, she deserved to kind of get that. I have always said that horror acting is some of the hardest acting to pull off, in my opinion. I don't understand why it is not recognized by award shows. The pregnant girl killed it the entire time she was on screen. Look, nobody is Ripley. Like, we already know that. We don't even have to have that conversation. But for me, the pregnant girl, Kay, and Andy should have been at the helm of Romulus. Rain was giving mediocre. Like, I'm sorry, Rain was giving mediocre. Rain was really underwhelming as a character for me. Now, what didn't make sense for me with the pregnant girl, as we're talking about how much I loved her character, this space station had Science Officer Ash from Alien in charge of experimenting on the alien life form, right? And speaking of them bringing back Ash, I had no issues with the decision. People have been complaining about, you know, the CGI and bringing him back. It didn't bother me at all. Was it necessary? No, not really. But I liked Ash in Alien, and I was here for the cameo. It didn't bother me. But I've heard a lot of people up in arms about that. Now, I don't get all the science behind the movie, but apparently the xenomorph is like a perfect life form. So they experiment, they harness, you know, that whatever that is in the alien. I was confused why Once Andy is down, Rain picks it up and carries the injections and stuff. Then she hands it off to the pregnant girl. That's not our mission. That's not what we're here for. Why would we care anything about carrying this stuff? And then for Kay to carry it once Rain leaves, but also go a step further and inject herself, which, yes, when she's hurt, her brother wanted to inject her because, Rain stops him. However, Kay wasn't there when Ash was talking about this serum or whatever. Plus, she's pregnant. Like, pregnant women can't even take all types of medicines and stuff, or aspirin or whatever. Like, who would just inject themselves with a mystery experimental, like, you don't even really know what this is. No clue of how it would affect your unborn child. I don't know. It just didn't make logical sense for me. Rain ends up telling Kay to like go in a cryo thing so she can, freeze and get help later. Why didn't she just do that? One thing for me when I really like a character, I'm not one of those people like really upset when my fave dies. I am more upset if they don't get like a good death. I didn't like how they did the death for Kay. After the injection, of course, the growth rate of the baby not only accelerates, but it mutates the baby, right? So we have this birth scene that came out of nowhere. Literally my worst nightmare in life is pregnancy and labor. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, that birth scene felt visceral. And that thing that came out was like huge. And I will never forget going to like the childbirthing classes with my god sister when we were like 20 or something. And I don't know why anytime in my life people talked about a woman dilating, I thought your hoo-ha dilate so the baby could fit out, which now I'm almost 40. That sounds dumb, but that's what I thought. When I learned that no, your cervix dilates and your hoo-ha stays exactly the same for the, I'm like, wait, what? So it don't like get bigger so the baby can come out? Yeah, no, you can miss me with labor and delivery. Like, it scares the life out of me. And this scene was horrific, okay? But what I did not like is one moment we see like this ooze coming out of Kay, like she's lactating, but like mutated lactating. The alien human hybrid baby goes to like feed, I was assuming. They cut away, and once we cut back, Kay's dead, and the alien human hybrid baby is like feeding on her, not feeding from her. So I was kind of thrown for a loop and honestly confused for a second. Like, wait, she dead? Like, what was the stuff oozing out? I thought he was finna feed on that. I don't know. It was just it wasn't working for me. It was absolutely giving Sterling K. Brown's character death in Predator, where it's so dark you can barely see, and they like cut away and time passes and suddenly like his character is gone and you're like, wait, did he die? Like, it just, I don't know. Maybe it was the editing, how they cut away and came back. It just didn't work for me. I just feel like how they handled that injection felt forced. I wanted a more justice in her death, especially with how Rain does Ash at the very end. Speaking of how it doesn't make sense, Rain doesn't give an inch about Ash, his mission, the company. So it just doesn't make sense for me that she wouldn't have just left that injection when Andy drops. Above all, though, I just really wish we could start being a little more unpredictable with who we have as our last man standing, our final girl character. But outside of the pregnant girl, you really don't care about anyone else. I mean, at least I didn't. The bald girl and the jerk guy who was mean to Andy were just throwaway characters here to die. I mean, Ripley hated Bishop, but she didn't like synthetics and aliens, just like this character. However, he was very unlikable and like really obnoxious and just very off-putting. I don't know. He was very much that character that I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see him die. Like, please hurry up and kill him off. And what also didn't work for me with the characters is I feel the story was a little too on the nose, setting up Rain and how desperate she is right before going to her friends who have this crazy plan. But also, these young people are living this like hard knock life, so to speak. But when it is explained why the jerk kid hates Andy, we're told it's synthetic. Sacrifice 3 people in order to save 12. Wait, that sounds like a good decision to me. Like that. Those 12 were someone else's mom as well as that one in the 3 was yours. I just feel like they are supposedly kids who have lived a life of tragedy and misfortune and hard decisions in this planet we find them on. So moments like that were confusing and kind of conflicted with who these characters are set up to be and the world that they live in. The bald girl was just annoying, and I was confused with her and the jerk guy like plan after Andy tries to stop her and they run to the ship? Was the plan to just leave their two friends there to die? Because we are told when they get here that it's like, I don't know, 36 hours or something before this space station crashes. And this is also why I say Kay went through it, because baby was on the ship sleeping when they ran in there. Like, she was thrust into this nightmare. It's like, you know how you just suddenly wake up, you can't even get your bearings, and baby got to start off fighting for her life soon as she wakes up. So if she had to die, I just kind of wanted her to die maybe fighting for her life. I don't know. I just want a better death for her. Now, with the main characters, like I said, I don't have much to say on Rain. She was just giving mediocre. The standout for me was Andy. But I have to say, baby, who was in the writer's room? Who is in the writer's room? Because the dynamic of Rain and Andy was so problematic. The character of Andy was so problematic, the way they did everything. First off, the movie opens and Rain is talking to Andy like a dog or a child. Andy was very much giving like a mix of special needs and docile Negro trope. And then the second that Andy's objective isn't the white girl, he's framed as some kind of villain. Andy literally does nothing wrong at all. And Rain slaps him in the face. They were trying to frame him as like a villainous type character with the whole what's good for the company is my objective. But Andy was making sound, rational decisions. I liked Andy way more after his new programming and upgrade, but once he isn't giving docile Negro, Rain ass is all, Andy, are you fair? Bitch, he's making smart decisions, and he's a robot, and everything he's doing, he's not trying to kill you. And oh boy, I don't even remember his name. These side characters were so unmemorable, but y'all are coming along. You have a better chance of survival with Andy making these decisions. There were quite a few lines from Rain that felt hokey and cheesy and honestly out of place, and like it didn't fit in the movie. The are you there? And when she's told the story about sacrificing the three, just her reaction and the line she says in that scene, it escapes me, but it was very just like, what? Just it didn't fit, it didn't work. Once Andy isn't acting like her black puppy dog, I just didn't like it. I just feel like they lean into the stereotypical archetype with the lone black character, which is unfortunate. This the token docile Negro, and David Johnson, who plays Andy, he's a star, period. Literally the highlight and standout performance of the movie. I loved how he switched up and essentially plays two characters. I mean, his demeanor and everything changed when he gets that upgrade and new programming. I feel like since they went with the whole brother-sister thing with Andy and Rain, baby, why Rain couldn't be black? Why she couldn't be a black girl? I have no idea why it is so hard to put more than just one token black character in these movies. I have no idea why it is so hard to give us black final girls. I also would have loved if we framed Rain as the lead and final girl from Jump, which they did, but switch up, kill her off, and have Andy become the lead and final guy in the third act. I would have been here for that. Everything here feels very familiar, and I would have just loved if we subverted expectations and did things differently instead of sticking with the same norms. Like, of course, we, have, the white girl like live and be the final girl. Like, I just wish we did something different because we always go there. Above all, though, I found this movie to be so visually stunning. I was obsessed with how they had the face huggers running through like a horde of zombies. When Andy is closing the door, when the face huggers are chasing them, and old boy slides through the door at the last second, I love that. Scenes like that in movies never get old. When a character has to like slide through a door at the last second, it never gets old for me. Rain trying to outmaneuver damn acid blood, the entire elevator shaft sequence, the way they use gravity in the movie and the x-ray gun. I mean, just so many great ideas with great executions here. And I feel like I don't care how many movies we get, the xenomorph and the face huggers are always a threat and scary, but we just ramped it up in this one for me. I also enjoyed many of the callbacks. My fave is the elevator shaft scene when the gravity kicks in and Rain falls and we have a moment where the xenomorph catches her like, I got you. Like, I got you, bitch. But that moment was kind of reminiscent of Alien 3 for me, when an alien gets close to Ripley's face, but this time it's getting close to Rain. But I also love this moment with the double threat of the alien and the face hugger. But of course, not all of the, callbacks and throwbacks worked. I think it's pretty unanimous, likely. Having Andy say the iconic "get away from her, you bitch" was one of the worst ideas in the history of cinema. Like, the worst idea in the last 50 years of cinema. I'm obviously exaggerating, but it was pretty freaking bad. I'm also confused on the direction that was given to the actor in this scene, because the way he delivered the line was off. It's also illogical that a synthetic would say bitch when no one in the movie has said it. Kind of like in Terminator, when you learn being around humans and he said hasta la vista because, John Connor said it. Like, ain't nobody around Andy said this. I think if Andy would have just said get away from her, that would have worked. That would have landed. There's another line where Andy says, I prefer the term artificial person myself. That worked just fine. And that was a line from Aliens that Bishop says when Burke and Ripley have the convo because she didn't know he was a synthetic, right? That worked. The get away from her, we could have just said get away from her. Like, that's it. Leave the bitch off. Leave that to Sigourney Weaver. Something else that didn't work for me was the design of the alien baby hybrid. I'm sorry, the second that popped up on screen, I about fell out. There were like crater looking things on it. The genital region looked crazy. The face was obviously giving the creators from Prometheus, but none of it worked. And I really didn't like the creators' face design in Prometheus. But the entire design just didn't work for me at all. I hated it. Like, it bugged me out. But despite the flaws, I did give Alien Romulus a 5 out of 5 star rating on Letterboxd. I just had so much fun with this movie, and I got everything I came to the Alien movie for, that I come to Alien movies for. I love how Fede Alvarez is never afraid to really go there with the violence and the gore. I only wish he would have went all the way as far as the original vision and idea with the alien and the xenomorph. So the story behind that is they wanted to subvert typical horror tropes with the Alien movie at that time, right? Which is why Ripley is a woman. Initially, Ripley was a man. And it is also the idea behind the xenomorph and like flipping essay on the man. That's why our victim is in Alien is a male who gets, impregnated by this creature against his will. It gestates inside of him. The labor happens through his chest. Alien Romulus is the first Alien movie, though, to really push those sexual undertones. I think we missed the mark making the bald girl and not the jerk guy be the one that the chest burster gets. I read where the original Alien movie, he wanted male audiences to squirm in their seats and really feel like that sexual horror. We could have really drove that home with this one, particularly with how we did the imagery in Romulus and making the jerk guy the one that the face hugger gets. I don't know why horror shies away from showing any form of essay on men, but I think they missed the mark on choosing the bald girl. Just my humble opinion. Women have to sit through a lot of essay against women in horror. This would have been the perfect opportunity to switch to a male victim, and also doing the resurgence of Alien, just going back to that original idea they had for the xenomorph and the male victim. I will be ranking every movie in the Alien franchise, including the AVP films as well. So make sure you have your bell notification on and look out for that video. I also just dropped my review on the new M. Night movie Trap, so please check that out if you haven't. I might be the only person on planet Earth that actually liked Trap, but please check that video out for my full thoughts. My review on Cuckoo is also on the way. I have my KillerCon live horror panel every Saturday, so please check out that playlist if you have missed it. Lots of content coming on the channel, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.
Goodbye.